Radio, your trusted source for the paranormal, conspiracy theory, and true crime.
Thank you, everybody, for joining me on another edition of Dark Fringe Radio. I'm your host, of course, Will Martinez. And tonight, we have a very special guest. Her name is Amy Robeson, and she is a Master Akashic Records teacher. She's a light language master and a mentor who helps people tap into their most powerful inner potential to experience profound transformations and magic. And she is passionate about exploring spiritual concepts and truths and encourages her students to get curious and stay curious. As the founder of the Sacred Awakening, she has created a powerful Akashic Records program, allowing her students to receive answers in any area of their life so they can be more empowered and aligned with their lively duties, obviously. Amy is a perfect guide to breaking down complex spiritual concepts to meet her students where they are and helping them overcome roadblocks and outdated beliefs and even trauma to achieve their higher good. So she has appeared on numerous podcasts, such as Coast to Coast AM, and TV shows such as Gaia TV. She is the host of a popular podcast, Awakening with Amy. She was also interviewed in a new documentary with Dr. Joe Vitale from The Secret. So please welcome to Dark Fringe Radio, Amy Robeson. Amy, how are you? What's going on?
Good. How are you? I'm excited to chat with you.
Likewise. Listen, we don't get to talk about this kind of stuff very often because we're always talking about like really the negative stuff of, things like that. So I love to bring in the light side, the good side of the things that we talk about. So let's talk about the Akashic Records and stuff like that. But before we get into that, how did you get into it? First off, how did your journey get into, learning about this and wanting to share this information with other people?
Yeah, so I found the records accidentally, and then once I found them, I discovered I've been accessing them all my life because I grew up in my stepdad was a severe alcoholic, and so I had very unpredictable parents and unpredictable environment, and so with that, I would always tune into the energy to predict what was going to happen. So I would talk to angels when I was a kid. I would talk to little alien beings when I was a kid. And then in my early 20s, I didn't want to be here anymore. And that led me down a path of spirituality, led me down a path of yoga and like just following the energy that presented itself to me. And eventually I found my first teacher who taught me how to connect directly to God and talk to God. And that's when I started realizing I was accessing the records unconsciously. So to make a very long story short.
No, that's interesting because, we usually do find that people that, find things of this nature, as far as, whether you want to call it intelligence or wisdom or whatever guiding, it's usually from some type of traumatic experience. And so that's usually the common thread that we see in this. But so going into this, I mean, this is all sounds wonderful, but for those that are not familiar, and that may not, most of my listeners may not be familiar with this, but what exactly are the Akashic Records? Can you explain that exactly and what
Yeah,
they are?
and I love explaining it as many times as I can because I think that there's many different interpretations of the Akashic Records, and so you got to find the one that resonates with you.
Gotcha.
So the Akashic Records means space in Sanskrit. And what it is, it's a field of infinite possibilities. Every word, deed, thought from the moment your soul is incepted, not when you come into this body, but when your soul comes into beingness, into its essence, starts recording in the Akash. And we can open up the Akashic Records to receive love and guidance and support in any and all areas of our life. And so everything is recorded in the Akash. Your records, my records, animals' records, houses' records, planet records, ancient Egypt, you name it. Everything has an Akashic record because it's energy and it's recorded constantly. And we can go in and we can ask about the past, the present, and the future because everything's happening simultaneously. And they support us in not giving us predictions because I really want to emphasize this isn't fortune telling. It's giving us the opportunity to have a self-discovery and to live our best life. And it's up to
That's
us to make those decisions on what we act upon.
that's interesting. So I've always heard the term "it was written," "it was written," "it was written," "it was written." So I'm assuming that kind of falls in line into what this belief is that everything has already happened. It's been written. There's no time. Time is just a construct that we use as humans. Everything's happening at the same time, so it's all written at the same time. No?
Yes and no. This is like one of
Okay.
those like spiritual concepts where there's a lot that we can work with just in that answer, right? And
Okay.
so everything is written can be a part of you have contracts with certain people before you come into this life. And so there's contracts that are written in
Mm,
terms of what and how someone's going to show up in your life. They're going to either be the hero or the villain, or sometimes they play both parts. And you make agreements with yourself as well based on what you want to experience. And we have free will. And then because we have free will, it, we can have all these contracts, but because we have free will and the decisions we make, the written story can change along the way. And
mm,
so I like always saying it's written in the stars. And
mm,
what I mean by that too is like we choose to be birthed at a certain time during certain planetary placements, and everything's written in the stars in terms of the planetary placements and how we react with the planetary placements and how we're showing up as ourself in this experience.
I like that explanation. That's a really good explanation. So, going back to the Akashic Records, is this something that requires special training or special gifts to kind of like access, or is this something that anybody can access? You know?
The cool thing about the records is they start showing up when the student's ready. And so if you're listening to this and all of a sudden you're like, what is that? Or it feels very familiar, it's because you're ready to start exploring them. And there's many different paths to exploring them, but I believe it's really important to get trained. If I'm not the teacher for you, find the right teacher because as you guys talk about some dark stuff, right? There, you don't want to play with fire and you want to make sure you're accessing a good entry point because the entry point and the way you access the records also matters as well. You can just find a teacher for the first time that's only been practicing the records for 3 months and decides to start teaching it. Doesn't mean they're a bad teacher, but their access point, depending on their lineage, might be very shallow and narrow. Where if you have someone that's been studying them for a long time, that has a good lineage behind them, their access point is going to be far and wide. And so it all depends on also their interpretation of the records too. So you want to find the right person to assist you. And a lot of times, student, you don't have to feel intuitive. You could feel like the least intuitive person you know. The main thing is that you're drawn to them because we all have access to our clairs, which allow us to receive intuitive information. And so you don't have to have special, I'm going to put that in quotation, special gifts. You just have to have the curiosity and the willingness to trust, even if you're not
Mm,
trusting at first, the willingness to trust, because it takes a tremendous amount of trust to follow the breadcrumbs and to lean into what you're receiving and to also get really curious about what to ask in your records as well.
mm. Interesting. So, I know you mentioned, when we're talking about the Akashic Records, you mentioned the soul contracts, but are we also talking about past lives and future potentials as well? I mean,
Yes, yes,
is that
yes,
all
yes.
intertwined with this as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we can look all ways in all directions in terms
Mm-hmm.
of the Akashic records. And
Mm-hmm.
so we can look at a past life and see maybe why we have an irrational fear of spiders. Like, why do I have an irrational fear of spiders?
Yeah.
And they can take you to a past life where you've had an experience where maybe you died from a poisonous spider and got an infection and it got really bad and you didn't know what to do because you didn't have the right medicines or whatever. And so we can go to the past, but they can also show you future possibilities based
Mm.
on what you're wanting support with. And I'll give you an example. I decided to do yoga teacher training. And when I did yoga teacher training, I didn't do it the traditional way. I didn't go get it done at a studio. I did it privately with someone. And then I wanted to go to a studio to get hired. And when I did that, I asked in the records, like, hey, what can I do? What studios can I go to? And they said, you can go to 3 different studios. And if you go to this studio, you're going to tell them that you want to observe the kids' class. That wasn't even on my radar. And then you also want to see, they suggested a couple other things to say to the owner. And I went, it was right down the road from my house. I asked if I could observe the kids' class. The owner said, yeah, absolutely. And so I went, observed the kids' class. 2 weeks later, he called me. It's like, hey, do you want a teaching job here at the studio? You can help co-teach the kids class, and that's the way into the studio. And
Mm,
so I could choose to act on that, or I could choose not to act on that. And
mhm.
so I chose to act on two of the suggestions and not on one of them because it felt too far away. It didn't work with my work schedule and what I was doing and everything like that. And so both places hired me. And
Mm,
so that's a future possibility that I can act upon right away. Now, let's say I'm wanting to look at a future possibility that's 5 years down the road. They're going to
mhm.
always give you step one before step 10 because you can't start driving a car until you start practicing driving a
Right.
car, right? And so you got to take your written exam and things like that, unless you're a farm kid and you can just go on all the tractors or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you have to walk before you run is basically what I'm saying. And it's the future possibilities. Sometimes they come to fruition, sometimes they don't. It just depends on your willingness to take action or your willingness not to take action. And sometimes it's the matter of understanding what they're sharing with you or not understanding what they're sharing with you. And sometimes we just don't want to take the action.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, and so that's where free will comes into play, like you said,
Hmm.
and yeah, can really throw things for a loop sometimes. So talking about accessing the Akashic records, how does that differ from like other forms of maybe spiritual, intuitive guidance or whatever you want to call it, like tarot or mediumship or channeling or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah,
What separates this from that?
what a great question. So, with going into the records, the guardians take into consideration everything about your soul, everything your soul has ever experienced and may possibly experience. They're also
Mm,
taking into consideration your soul contracts. They're also taking into consideration your ancestral lineage that you were born into.
mm,
Okay, so they're taking in the whole picture. Oftentimes, with some other modalities, they are looking at the here and now. They're not looking at the entire soul's experience and why they may be wanting to do certain things, and then why an ancestor may be influencing the way that they're behaving, acting, thinking. And so it's the matter of what am I looking at if I'm looking at everything from a 360-degree perspective versus what am I looking at just in this room?
Interesting. Yeah, I love that explanation. That's a really good explanation about how that separates it. So is there a method that, or maybe a ritual that you use to access the records, or is it based on just your intention or, meditation? How does one go about that? How does one
Yeah.
access that?
So, in my program called Sacred Awakening, I teach my
Mhm.
students how to open their records through a specific prayer and using crystalline energy as
Mm,
well. And what I have found is using crystalline energy acts as keys to unlock the door more easily and for them to get access quicker. So we intuitively handpick using the records, specific crystals for each student. No crystals are the same for each student. So we have a specific combination and then we mail them tangible crystals to create something tangible to hold on to while we're working on something so esoteric as well.
mm, That's interesting. Yeah, because that's always something that I always wanted to know. Is like, is there a way to act? Is there some type of ritual or something like that? But I'm glad you kind of clarified that for me. So when you're accessing these records, what has been some of the most profound or maybe surprising things that you've uncovered about either yourself or maybe about a client that you were just like, wow, like I can't believe I just uncovered this.
Yeah, so this may sound so simple, but
Hmm.
this is what I've received, and this is what a lot of my students receive when they first go in, and just a tremendous amount of love, like a
Hmm.
next level understanding of you are loved, we love you, and you're home, and you feel at home. It's like this really big shift that happens when you experience it, and you're just held and seen as whole and complete and not broken in any way. Even if you
Hmm.
have a mess going on in your life, like they don't
Hmm.
see you as broken, they're not judging you, and they just want you to know you're loved. And who I'm saying they, I'm talking about the masters, teachers, and loved ones, the guardians of your records. And then other profound things I've seen is going through different past life regressions. Like I've taken people where they are going to where there's the galactic wars, and
Mm,
there I've had clients tell me verbatim the same things, which is really interesting. I've had several clients where I've taken them, and the cool part is the way I do the past life regressions is they tell me, I don't tell them. I'm not
hmm
telling them anything. It's their subconscious that's unlocking the information. Um,
hmm
uh, I've taken a few people where they lived during the dinosaur age, where they're tiny little
Wow.
beings. And
Wow.
like those, I always love when I get
Yeah.
to experience those things. We've gone to Atlantis, Lemuria, like we've gone to different places. And then we've opened records where, someone's about to be hung for being a witch and things like that. And so the thing about past lives is we don't want to glamorize them. We're there for a reason. And if a past life is coming up, you're either there to claim a gift or you're there to claim a fragment of your soul that's been frozen in time.
Mm,
And we want to bring that fragment back so you're not reliving or experiencing that trauma or torture, guilt, shame, whatever it is that's from that lifetime. But
mm.
to me, I just really love going in any direction that the guardians can take you in, but past lives are usually my jam. They're not the only
Yeah.
thing we do.
hmm
Because some people, the cool thing about the records is people specialize in different things,
hmm
and some people have different rituals on how they open the records. I want it fast, easy, and simple. I want to get answers really quickly. And I want to use them for everything because if we only focused on past lives, it would be really, really hard. If we only focused on trauma stuff, it would be really, really hard. And so we can use the records also to like say, what can I make for dinner tonight? Or, hey, how can I have a better relationship with my partner? Or what color would just really make me feel a ton of joy today? And
mm
they'll answer it.
I like that. I like that. I love the idea that you can get your answer about anything in life. I mean, really, it
Yes.
doesn't have to be something so complicated and convoluted or so, serious. You know what I mean? It could be something like you said, just as simple as like, oh, what am I going to do for dinner?
Yes.
What should I do? That's the most interesting part to me about this whole thing is that it's not just tailor made for just the dramatic and whatever that is that their their mind is going at that point. But
It would be a
go.
heavy tool if you only used it for that.
Yeah, it would be. You're right. You're absolutely right. Now that I think about it that way, yes, you're right. When you are accessing these records, have you ever encountered like resistance or dark energies or entities, within the space? I mean, does that happen, often
Yeah,
or?
so I do healings in the records, and
Mhm.
so there's people have all sorts of stuff attached to them. And most of the lower vibrational energies, they're harmless. You just got to clear them. And then there's some really gnarly things. But yeah, I've seen all sorts of different things that range
Attachment.
from all sorts of different entities, experiences, implants, you name it. I've probably seen some of the strangest things.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you have. Talking about past lives, how I come into play with the records. Can you give an example where like a past life, the information from a past life helped heal, like a present day issue with a person?
Yeah, so there's a past life where I took a client into a past life and they wanted to show her how she led her tribe and how she negotiated peace and how, so this wasn't a traumatic past life. This was an empowering past life where they
hmm
wanted to show her the type of leadership she had and the type of, what's the word I'm looking for, or how she can command
Right.
a space, a room. And she negotiated peace between the tribes, and she was just amazing. And so she walked away from that knowing like she could use her voice and stand in her power and take her business to the next level and things like that.
hmm
I've had other past lives where I had someone that was clearing a pirate
hmm
timeline, and they were actually a very, very famous pirate.
Oh wow.
And it was. a lot of trauma around drowning and what that looks like and their fear of water. And so they could get over that fear by clearing that and then also clearing any of the guilt and shame that they had around their pirating.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it does, yeah, it does, weigh heavy on the psyche, I'm sure, right?
Yes, yes.
Things of that nature, if you're living that type of lifestyle, we laugh about it now because we just think of the Hollywood tradition of what pirates are, but what they really did back then was, they took whatever they could at whatever time they can and plundered and took whatever they needed at whatever time. So interesting. That actually leads me into my next question because does accessing the records, does it also give insight to a collective karma, or is it just only a personal soul's journey?
So we want to always follow spiritual laws,
Hmm.
but we can ask questions about general things that as long
Hmm.
as we're not breaking spiritual laws. So, like, you could say, hey, can you tell me more about ancient Egypt? Or,
Hmm.
hey, the collective consciousness feels really heavy. How is that impacting me?
Hmm.
Or,
Hmm.
how can I help the collective consciousness rise? So, as long as you're making it about yourself, you can't go into your records and be like, hey, what's wrong with my husband, right? Like, but you can say, hey, I got into a
Yeah,
disagreement with my husband. How can we better communicate? Or,
right.
hey, like, how can I communicate my feelings in an effective way where I feel seen and heard? And so,
Hmm.
as long as we're not breaking spiritual laws, because it's really important that you follow spiritual laws and you're not dishonoring or trying to go poke around in someone else. And they won't let you ask
Hmm.
questions about someone in someone else's records. They won't let you. Now, some people think they're in other people's records when they're doing
Mm.
that, but what they're accessing a false record. And that's really important. That's why it's important to get trained.
Mm. That's interesting. That's interesting. Can karmic patterns be rewritten or healed through this process?
Yeah, so we all have karma.
Right.
And karma is not bad. Karma is good, bad, and indifferent. And so
Right.
we have a bank of energy that either we're learning a lesson or we're getting to receive a award. And
Hmm.
so with anything in regards to karma, you can explore what that looks like. It's also the matter of shifting perspective. One of my favorite things about teaching Sacred Awakening is seeing how someone transforms in 4 months. Because the
Mm.
way that they're showing up and the way that they're thinking about themselves and the way that they shift their relationship with themselves changes a lot of karma for them as well because they're not stuck in the same identity patterns, which
Mm.
means they're breaking out of karmic cycles that once kept them stuck in that identity pattern.
Mm. Mm. That's interesting. I like that. Um, do the Akashic records contain information about maybe like non-human intelligences? Have you ever run into that?
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about with the galactic wars.
Galactic War, Lemuria. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I've taken and we've explored different places and I never go anywhere unless I'm being guided to go somewhere.
Right.
And yeah, so I've seen when I was pregnant actually the guardians were showing me like troves and troves and troves of new souls coming in that have never been. They're all
Mm.
little galactic light beings that have never been a human before, and they're coming in for the first time as humans. So all the kids
Wow.
that have been born recently, um, starting probably back in it's before 2020, but I would say around 2016, most of the kids from there forward are haven't usually have had lifetime. That doesn't mean all of them, but the majority from 2020 on, most of them have never
Definitely
had a
not.
human life before, but they're interdimensional planetary beings that are from different galactic races that want to come and
Is,
change humanity.
is there an explanation as to why? Is there more of those type of light beings that are coming out now that haven't been in a human form before versus before?
Yeah, because one, our consciousness is rising. And
Hmm.
because our consciousness is rising, we've moved into the age of Aquarius. And it's
Hmm.
really important we don't make the same mistakes that with Atlantis. So Atlantis was in the age of Leo. There,
Hmm.
if you look at the zodiac, it's exactly the same position across from it. It's a mirror, is
Hmm.
in Aquarius. And so we are moving back into Atlantean times with
Mm.
power and technology. And I mean, we see it rapidly changing. Our
Oh yeah.
technology is rapidly changing. And so these new souls are coming in to make sure we don't make the same mistakes. They're the new generation that's going to assist us in thinking differently and acting differently. And if you look at just even our rate for autism, and I'm not
Hmm.
saying all autism kids are from alien races. What I'm saying is they're just very different and they interact with the world very differently and they see the world very differently and they understand dimensions differently. They're very sensitive. And
Hmm.
so these new souls that are coming in with very special gifts, very special purposes that want to help us raise our consciousness even more and make appropriate decisions and changes that we need to make in order to stay with the change of time and as we rise and ascend.
Understand. Yeah. No, I totally believe that because I really see now that things have changed, especially, I'm a Gen Xer. I was born in the late 70s, grew up in the 80s, Um, I, I've seen a lot since, the beginning of my childhood, you know what I mean? We've ascended so much just in technology, like you said alone.
Hmm.
It's absolutely mind-boggling. Um, have you ever received information from the records that contradicted maybe some conventional spiritual teachings or maybe historical narratives?
Um,
That since
Definitely
you've gone back,
conventional teaching. Yeah, so
yeah.
the cool thing about the records is they take in consideration everything you know,
Mm,
everything your soul's experienced, and all the tools that you have in your toolbox. They may be
mm,
spiritual, they may be mechanical, they may be whatever, but they take those not even from this lifetime, but all the lifetimes. So they sometimes start teaching you
uh,
things that you once knew, and they want you to incorporate those into your life. And so for me, I ended up getting like this really powerful DNA activation, and all of a sudden the next day I woke up like downloaded all this information on how to use sacred geometry, and no one taught me that. And so I went and like explored it all in the records and
yeah,
used the records to understand how to use it and how to use it safely.
yeah.
Because you want to make sure that you're understanding and that you're utilizing your gifts in a way that you're not going to hurt anybody too.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because sacred geometry, crystalline, all that stuff is very, very powerful.
Hmm.
And the Atlanteans use sacred geometry
Hmm.
and power and all that stuff to rise. And so we want to make sure we're utilizing it. But yes, like there's so many cool things that you can utilize in the records, and some of them will just like blow your mind where you're like, wait, what? Tell me that
Yeah.
again. Explain that to me one more time.
No, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's amazing that, that you can go back and access this information. Do you ever, has, humanity's future, have you ever got a glimpse of humanity's future and just said, wow, I don't know about that? I mean, it looks kind of scary. I'm like, I don't know. Should I repeat this or should I not, share this information? Have you ever got a glimpse of some kind of
I,
dystopian future?
I, mm, So I try not to look at stuff like that
Hmm.
because I just know we're moving into something really great. And
Hmm.
so they did share things back in 2008 with me where it's like one third of the world's going to wake up, one third's going to go crazy, and one third's going to die. And
Wow.
then look what happened with COVID.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that they also shared with me is like we're going to be walking and um, the people that are awakened and the people that are not, they're going to coexist, but they're not really going to see each other. They're not going to really like it's going to be like two experiences, but we're all on different timelines and we
Mm.
shift timelines all the time with the work that we do. And so with that, it's sometimes when you hear that for the first time, it's hard to wrap your head around it. But if you've ever woken up one day and you're like, I'm gonna do this, like I can do this, I got the power to do this, and then all of a sudden you talk yourself into this new identity, and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden all these beautiful things start changing. That is a shift in a timeline. It's
Mm.
not as um, Star Trek or
Yeah.
Star Wars as like some people think it is. It's like it's
Right.
very energetic shift that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, we shift identities, we shift timelines, we experience that thing on that timeline, and all the things that were on the old timeline, they start to move away from you because you're not a vibrational match for those things anymore.
You ascended, basically, right?
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm. I like that. I like that. Um, this is such an interesting concept. I know you said that you do a reading for me, and I'm definitely open for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whatever you need to do to get that started, I'm ready to do that with you.
Okay, cool.
Let's
So
get started.
for your audience,
Hmm.
anything that I'm sharing with William, if it resonates with you, keep it. Anything that doesn't, leave it behind. Since we're doing this in a group setting and it's on a
Hmm.
podcast, um, know that some of it's for you and some of it's not. So if
Hmm.
none of it resonates, that's okay too. I already have the records open, and so
Mm.
just ask an open-ended question,
Mm.
meaning no yes or no question.
Okay. What is the future of my podcast going to be like?
Oh, they're showing me interesting. They're showing me with you with a crown on, like a king crown, meaning you're gonna create more richness with it, and it's gonna go in another direction than you've originally planned.
Okay.
And the thing about it is it's not going to happen like overnight. It's not going to be like one day you're going to go, we're not doing this anymore. This is what we're doing. You're just going
Hmm.
to follow what you find interesting, what you are growing into,
Hmm.
and what you want to have conversations about.
Hmm. Okay.
And you'll notice what feels good to you and what doesn't. So they're saying pay attention to, after you're done with the podcast, how certain conversations feel and if they're a vibrational match for you anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I feel that. I
Okay.
understand that. Okay.
And then this is the with the crown, they're not saying like you're acting like a king. What they're saying
Hmm.
is you're treating yourself like royalty. You're understanding what your needs and wants are, but you're also demonstrating that as well through the things that you're finding interesting, digging into, investigating, things like that. And so it will shift as you shift.
Okay. I like that. How about let's do something common that everybody asks. How about my career outside of my podcasting? How about my 9 to 5? What is that looking like?
Um, we're going to back up for a second. What do you
Okay.
actually like to do for fun? Is what they're asking me to ask you.
What do I actually like to do for fun? What we're doing
Hmm.
right now.
Okay, great.
Hmm.
And why can't you make that your full-time job?
Ooh, I, that's a good question. I mean, it would take a lot for this to replace my full-time job monetarily wise. I mean,
Okay, so what they're saying is it's important, like you already know what you want to do.
hmm.
And so it's really important for you to start thinking outside the box in terms of how to make this the thing that you do. Because there's tons of opportunities that you can make money. You just have to get mastery around growing it, putting yourself out there in a different way,
Hmm.
and opening yourself up to that possibility. Because right now, it's like you're putting your like this energetic black wall between you, this is my life over here and what I
Hmm.
do in my career. And then this
Yeah.
is what I do for fun, but this is never a viable thing that I can do and walk away with. and get to say, this is what I do for full time and I make money and I enjoy
Hmm.
it. And so they're saying it's time to start meshing those worlds. And then it comes back to what they were showing me with the crown too, understanding like you can take care of yourself and still also enjoy what you do. And
Hmm.
it's not necessarily go out and find a sponsor right away. That's not what they're suggesting. What they're
Hmm.
suggesting is um, for you to take a step back. And for anybody that's listening, this is like a really important thing they're wanting me to emphasize.
Hmm.
If you want to do something, study on how to master it,
Hmm.
study on how to have mastery in it. And
Hmm.
so look for a couple different YouTubers that you can see how they're doing things,
Hmm.
that they've taken like successful podcast and some of the health ones you might want to look at as well.
Okay.
That's free, that's accessible. And then you can also look at paid courses that will assist you in going to the next level as well, in terms of what does that look to grow it to the next level? What are things that I haven't ever considered? Because it's you want to understand how to monetize what you're doing. And there's people that understand how to monetize it, and there's people that don't. I have a really good friend that has a very successful podcast. She does not monetize it the way that she could.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
you can monetize it, and there's
Hmm.
ways to monetize things. And so it's what does that look like, and how can I collaborate, and what does that look like for me to get to the next level?
Hmm. Okay.
What does
I,
that
I,
bring up for you?
it resonates. I could tell you that. Absolutely. I mean, you're 100% right on. I mean, from what you're saying so far, absolutely. I mean,
Is there any fear coming up to do it?
always. I would lie to you if I'd be saying if I didn't have any fear.
Yeah,
Absolutely. 100%.
make it
Fear,
like
doubt,
yes.
you know.
So make it a 2, 3 year plan. Does that feel easier?
Yeah, that makes it easier. Absolutely. Yeah.
So you're in the building phase and in the you're in the phase where you're going to look back at this and you're going to be like, that was so much fun when I had all those fun doubts about that. And now look at what I'm doing. You're going to laugh. You're
I'm
in
looking
the fun,
forward to that. I'm looking forward to that.
you're in the fun building it from the ground up phase. And it's going to be a time where you look back and you're going to be like, I did that. And it like, I bootstrapped it, I did it, and it's fun. And now I'm going to like go to the next level with it.
Okay. Okay. How about this? How about and just in general, not just me. I don't want to put everything on me.
Yeah.
I kind of want to give everybody like a maybe a feel for this. But how about just in general in the times that we're dealing with now? I mean, it's very difficult times right now for a lot of people. What do you say? What would you say that you could maybe give a little bit of comfort about what the future is going to hold for us, or maybe some type of words of wisdom or something that we could all take on during these times that it's, like I said, it's very difficult for a lot of people.
Yes. So the first thing they said, you got to keep in mind the Guardians are sometimes just funny, and they're like,
Hmm.
hold on to your bridges. Meaning time is speeding up very, very, very fast. And it's more important now to be grounded and heart centered. How can you get grounded and heart centered? So when you're in fear, the question is going to be, am I in my heart? And do I feel safe? Am I in my heart? And do I feel safe? And if you don't feel safe and you're not in your heart, what can you do to feel safe and in your heart? Sometimes it's the matter of taking very deep conscious breaths, feeling the edges of your body, coming into your heart center. Um, you can use crystals to ground, you can breathe, you can go for a walk, you can dance, you can sing, you can go talk to a friend. There's things that you can do, and there's mantras or prayers or intentions that you can say, whatever word resonates with you, where it's like, I'm in my heart and I feel safe today. I'm in my heart and I feel safe today. I'm in my heart and I feel safe today. And it's like breathing that in. Um, Also, you can get more into your heart and you can get more grounded by living a spiritual life. And what a spiritual life looks like depends on you. It's all up to you. There's no rule and there's no right way. There are many paths to spirituality and what that looks like. And
Hmm.
so living a spiritual life is something that gets you heart centered, keeps you grounded, allows you to have faith over fear. And that's what you want to put your energy into, faith versus fear. It takes the same amount of energy. And so why not choose faith over fear? And
Mm.
remembering I'm safe, coming back to the heart center and finding what makes you live from that space. And it's going to be really important.
I like that. I like that a lot. For those that are looking or maybe feel drawn to exploring this, whole Akashic record thing, and what would you tell them to, how would you guide them? What would you tell them to go to, maybe as a source as far as, information? I'm assuming probably your program, but please, yeah, give me some
Yeah,
information
we
on
have a
that.
free guided Akashic Record meditation that they can go to. You
Hmm.
can go to the amyrobeson.com/free.
Hmm.
We have 20 plus free healings, or you can just go to the guided meditation. We have it on our page right there. You can also, I have stuff on my website about the Akashic Records. We also have two free Akashic Record masterclass series we do twice a year that allows people to have an experience and explore what it looks like to play with the ancestors, what it looks like to heal the soul lineage, what it looks like to get guidance from the guardians as well. And if I'm not the person for you, like go find someone that resonates with you. And then I have a whole guide on my website that talks about like what that looks like to go find the right program, the right teacher as
Mm.
well.
Well, that's awesome. That's really good. I mean, I like that aspect of it where you actually help person find the right teacher. You're not just saying, "Hey, I'm the right person for you."
Oh
You know what
yeah,
I
because
mean?
I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Like I know that.
Stop. But no, Amy, you've been a wonderful guest. Of course, I'm going to implore everybody to go to your website, theamyrobeson.com. Please go there. Make sure you check out all of her information there, and book maybe a reading with her as well. I'm sure she would love that. Tell her that you, of course. Learned about her on Dark Fringe Radio. Anything else, Amy, that we could maybe promote for you besides the website? Are you on any kind of social media at all?
Yeah, we're on YouTube. It's Amy
Hmm.
Robeson. We're on Instagram, Amy.Robeson.
Hmm.
Facebook. We have a free Facebook group that my students give free readings in all the time.
Oh,
So if you just
that's
go
awesome.
to Awakening with Amy Robeson on the Facebook group, like my students are constantly getting certified, so you can get a free reading in there, which is really
Mm,
cool.
awesome. How long has your podcast been going on, by the way, Amy?
Um, oh gosh. I think we have over 200 and some odd episodes. I think we're close to 250 right now. So I
Okay.
think over 2 years, 3 years. Time's a blur to me.
See, I know
Like,
it does. Especially as I get older, it's like it's weird. Like a week seems like a day. Like that's what it seems like.
yeah, I probably maybe 3 or 4. I seriously don't know because like
Yeah.
I feel like I just started it, but I know I didn't. And
Yeah.
I just I don't remember. Like time just meshes together now. And
Yeah.
I was
No, I
like
get
telling
it.
a friend the other day, I'm like, anything that's within 3 years is probably yesterday. Like, I just don't know anymore.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. No, I'm the same way too. Listen, as I get older, I feel it. Even my daughter came up to me the other day. She's like, "Time's flying by, right, Dad?" I'm like, "You know
Oh
what?
my
You're right.
gosh, it really is. And like,
Yeah, yeah,
I have a young child, and like, they say that when when you're a kid, you don't believe it. But then like once you have a kid, time starts speeding up. But they've proven that time is actually speeding up.
yeah.
And
No, but
so
yeah,
it's
yes.
just insane. And then if you think about how much time you only have on Earth left, like
Hmm.
go do things that make you happy because you're not promised tomorrow.
That is right. Tomorrow's never promised, as they say. So, Amy, thanks so much for coming on Dark Fringe Radio.
Thank
I
you.
really, really appreciate it. Again, I implore everybody to go check out Amy's work at her website, theamyrobeson.com. And of course, check out the podcast as well. And I'm sure you guys will definitely enjoy it. So, again, Amy, thank you so much for coming on
Thank
Dark Fringe Radio. We'll
you.
definitely have to have you back on again in the
Definitely.
future. All right.
Thank you so much. This was fun.
Likewise, Amy. Thank you so much.